the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week.
Hello, this is Bernard Chong. Welcome to the Business Story of the Week.
Fantastic. And that is Z-Man himself. Bernard, he's your guest for today. I'm Joshua, your host. Bernard, what is the next game that could possibly build an empire? A new game that you think is going to be big right now?
I think a game that will possibly be big
Mm-hmm.
if it's something to do with real life too. Like you gamify the rewards
Interesting.
of real life development. For example, maybe if it's like an employee
Mm.
journey to
Yes, yes, yes.
promotion and then you gamify
Uh,
that. So I
oh,
think those
interesting.
those things can be rewarding and can be prolonged and can be famous. That's just an idea of mine. I think that's problem with games is it goes you to a game, but it's ending. It has an ending, right? And you don't use it actually in real life. Well, unless it's a community base where you use it with the community. But I think if you gamify a lifestyle, that's something that is real life applicable and applicable to job or applicable to mentoring, like for example a job, but you gamify something that if you mentor something or if you read something or you write a memo or something, then
Of
you
course,
have
yes.
rewards. So I think
Okay,
the short answer
interesting.
is gamification of real life can be big. That's my opinion.
Probably the next frontier when it comes to video game industry. And of course, we asked that question because Bernard is the founder of the world-renowned Brand Esports, now AP Brand. Bernard Luchong is a savvy investor and serial entrepreneur whose billion-dollar portfolio ranges from traditional brick and mortar investments to angel investments to tech startups, retail, real estate, entertainment, food and beverage, you name it, Bert has seen and done it. He's also an investor in multiple startups around the globe. Bernard himself is world renowned for founding the award winning Bren Esports, now AP Bren, known as AP Bren, into 2017, and his investment in the expansion of the Canadian Tim Hortons coffee brand in the Philippines with ongoing projects like Mendo Coffee, Brand Seed Foundation. Bernard is truly a savvy investor and a serial entrepreneur. Today, he's going to be joining us. He's going to be sharing his wisdom and experience with us. Bernard, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for introducing me.
Fantastic. Bernard, I mean, what was it like? What was it like early on? I always start off the show this way. What was the young Bernard like? Was he always into entrepreneurship? Did you know you were always going to be a startup founder? And were you always into games?
I highly doubt that people will see themselves after 20 years because I'm like 43 years old now, going 44. And when you have to tell me how I start, it has to be the very beginning. And nobody can see themselves 20 years from now. Very seldom. Maybe there is some, but rare people. So I couldn't see myself like this. I see myself
Interesting.
wanting to grow. I see myself wanting to learn and wanting to help. And then, as long as you keep doing good and you keep learning, life will surprise you. I always say to my friends also, do what's right and do good things for yourself. And eventually, the universe or life will surprise you in a good
That's
way.
fascinating. That is fascinating. I mean, of course, it's one thing to again, like you can never ever be sure of what the future will hold, but we can take a bit from our past, right? Bernard, you grew up with a large family, 15 siblings, 15 children. So that's a big family. your father was your mentor as well. He said, "Shoot for the
Actually,
stars."
I have to correct you. So I have
Please,
two brothers
two
only.
brothers.
Yeah, only. But I have big family. I got many children.
Sorry about that. Children, I kept saying siblings and family. Two siblings, 15, large family with 15 children. It's a huge family.
Don't put a number, okay? As long as it's a
Yes, well, I feel like it's important to bring that into context because my question was, how do you take that? Like, what do you take from that experience of having such a large family, bringing that into the business world, into your career as an entrepreneur, as an investor? Has it helped you? Has it given you unique perspective in having such a large family, putting teams together? I think it's quite it's quite interesting for our audience and listeners.
okay. So first things first, I feel
Mhm.
like a good person is a blessing to his friends. Is a blessing to his
Uh,
family, right?
of
And if
course,
you have bigger family members, as long as everyone is a good person, everyone has good sets of friends, everyone have a good sets of skills that are learning, and you interact with them, you align with them, then the tribe grows.
of course,
So that's my philosophy. I feel like you just have to do good for yourself, and you have to do good because if you're doing good for yourself, you're being good for your friends and families too. That way they learn from
interesting,
you, that way you can contribute to them. And I always say that be useful to everyone. I mean, it's okay to be used. The conception is you don't want to be used, right? But my
Mm,
philosophy is we want to be used, but we don't want to be misused. And we want to be
interesting.
used in the way that we are skillful and easy for us to do. So, for example, if your specialty in carpentry, you want to be used in carpentry because that's your specialty. It's easy for you.
Of course.
Just an example. But you don't want to be misused.
Basically
So,
put into where your strengths are
yes,
and having people do the same.
yes. And the bigger your family, the bigger sets of your friends, the bigger your circle of influence, the better for
Interesting.
everyone. That's my thinking.
Wow. Wow. And of course it's like having you're no stranger to having big families as portion or your organizations as well. And like you said, if you can put them in the right places where they can shine, not only that, you put them in a position to succeed, it's better for everyone because everyone learns. Everyone is put
Yes.
in a place where, you know, they are
I
they can
I remember
shine.
Joshua when I
Go ahead.
was when I was growing, we
Mhm.
were in a floor where my grandfather, grandmother, my dad, my
Mhm.
mom, and my auntie and uncle are in one floor.
Mm.
So there are five families and my grandparents in one floor of a building, and we all
Interesting.
live in one floor. So that gave me the outlook of different perspectives at once when when I was younger, when I was a child,
Right.
when I was a
Right.
kid.
Right.
I could see my uncle doing this, my aunts doing this, my grandma doing this every day. So I'm exposed to certain number of people's life, and I was mature enough to learn them at a young age.
Wow, of course. That is fascinating. And again, we're taking a lot from our past that we're bringing to our careers today and has shaped our future and has shaped our lives. Bernard, now that we've set the foundation a little bit on the past and a little bit of context in there, I want to talk about your journey and what got you started as an investor, as an entrepreneur. You've got into many different business ventures. You've startups, tech startup. Your portfolio ranges different industries. Where did this all begin precisely? How did you even start into one industry and then expand it into such a diverse portfolio?
I like to think that I was good in sales because
Hmm.
my training, because we were a shoe brand, we were the number one shoe brand, World Balance in Philippines. And my grandpa and my father has a store. So I would be in the store doing inventory, doing the cashier, doing customer service. And I feel like innately, I like to sell the shoes to the customer because that's ours. And then you learn the tricks talking to strangers. And what I learned from that is sharing something what you know that can be valuable to them. And
Of
you can
course.
take that from reading, from exploring, for things that in your own experience, storytelling, as long as the other person can take away the lessons or the story, or you have a good rapport with them. And then you can sell something that benefits both of you. Them because for having the item that they want, or the one that you're selling, and you also because you made the sale. So I had a
Right.
good practice in sales. So I was lucky enough to do good when I was young. You know, when you're young, most old people give chances to young. You know what you sell, they just buy because you're
Yes, of
young.
course.
And maybe I capitalized on my youth, and then with that money, I invested. Now my
Very
invested
interesting.
grew, but to share it to you and to everyone, it took a long time to grow in an investment. It's not like when you investment 6 months, it's there. It's not like that. The
Of course.
fastest I invested was 3 years, and others are 5 years. Recently, it was 10 years. So you invested and you
Wow.
have to wait.
Of course.
But
Of course.
that's just how the nature of things is. If you're doing everything the proper way, you have to be patient too.
Absolutely. I love how you framed that, of course, in your early days as a sales, but you framed it in such a way where you give value first, right? You don't want to be just going in there. I don't think anyone wants to be sold to. Like no one wants to be sold to. But what you did, what you talked about is like you gave value first. You gave information, you gave the knowledge, people love that. Before being able to, being able before it's just better that way because you create a connection before even starting that sales talk, before even starting that sales process. But you've already created that kind of rapport. But you talk about your start as an investment. Like you started in your investment when it comes to your experience and your journey. How did that get you into other industries? And particularly, how did that get you started in the esports industry?
Okay. So the esports industry, that was fun because I like to play games. So it was started in Dota, and you like to play 5 on 5. And then it so happened there's a competition, and the community grew. So I supported the team, and then the competition, and then suddenly it becomes an esports team.
Yes,
So
yes. Wow.
it was not really planned, but it's the next step. And by doing the next step, it so happened that the next step was to make a team and then to join the competition. And of course, with I think the universe blessing, we won world
Wow.
champion twice,
Of
because I
course,
think
yes.
winning world champion has something to do with universe blessing too. I mean, everybody's
Yes,
good, everybody's training. Universe has to approve it to happen. So
of course. And
I'm lucky and thankful. Now,
you guys also three-peated gold medals in the Southeast Asia Games. That is again like very, very cool. You got into that as a like you said, you got into that as an accident. And how did that happen? What else do you want to share?
well, you just do your best. You want to be
Mm,
passionate. You review, you study, you compete. And
mm.
like I said always to my friends and to everyone, to the listeners, be a good person, do your best thing, and the universe will unfold for you surprisingly.
Okay,
Because
very
there's
interesting.
your plan and there's the universe plan or God's plan. And I really believe that what God plan is will happen.
Wow,
Now,
very, very cool.
going
Go ahead.
back to the things I became diverse,
Mm.
it was because I was in sales from the shoes, and I was selling shoes to my different parents of my classmates were there in the different industries. So I was exposed to different people, and I was exposed to different industries that my classmates' parents are into. And because I
Yes, yes.
spent time talking to them, I learned and I met many network of friends of friends.
Huh?
So with that, I think I was lucky enough also to be an outgoing person because I need to make money.
Wow.
So that's my story at the beginning.
I love that. I love that. It's really goes back to the sales process, or really not really just a sales process. The network, the connections, learning to connect to people, learning that. skill of that people skill of being connected with others and leveraging that into opportunities. It really, really starts from there. And I think the really successful entrepreneurs and investors and everyone who's got into different industries and niches as well is really about how we connect to people, but genuinely. I love how you always say that, by the way. You have values clearly. You say, how do you give back first? How do you put people's strength? How do you make them shine? It all starts with genuine connection. I think that's what you're really good at. But also, you're very good at chess, Bernard. You're really into chess, as far as I know. With your career right now, with your business ventures right now, if it was a chess game and you're in the middle of a match right now in your business career, which part would you say you are in right now? Are you in the opening, the mid game, or the end game?
I feel I'm in the mid game still.
Right.
And
Very interesting.
sometimes I feel like I'm just starting. But I think, unlike chess, in life we can all be winners. You don't need to defeat an opponent. I think in real life, the world is big enough for everybody to win. The world is big enough for everybody to share whatever resource or whatever prize that we can get.
Wow. I mean, that is true. That is true. The world is, it's so, it's such a limited thinking into wanting to hoard everything. But really, I love that perspective because I think it's so unspoken of. Like, we don't talk about that enough when we say, especially entrepreneurs, like business owners, when we say, like, there's always competition, people to think about, you know. But really, like you said, I love that. And I think that's a great takeaway from this episode is that the world is big enough for everyone to succeed. And you have shown that. You've shown that in your experience. You're everywhere, you're in all these different industries, you've expanded into different ventures, and one of the ventures you've currently or recently expanded into is your expansion into Mendo Coffee. What was the inspiration behind this move, and again, how has it influenced your other ventures, or how did your other ventures influence your move into Mendo Coffee?
Well, I'm from Philippines and we drink a lot of tea from Asian places. And because coffee there, we put sugar and milk, right? And
Yes.
that's normal. But I went to Panama and my friend there, they have a farm and they grew the beans. And it's there where I tasted freshly harvested beans and it tastes really good. You drink it without milk, without sugar. It's a geisha bean. It's one of the best beans in the world. And when I tasted it, it feels so delicious and different that I said to myself that I want to share it to everyone, to the world. And of course, I'm only one person. So I feel like I just want to make a shop or a store, a coffee shop that sells a Panamanian coffee bean that at least they can say, oh, this is a different coffee. It's being
Yes.
drink without milk and sugar, and this is how it tastes. Just teaching teaching who I can teach.
And very, very flavorful, tasteful, unique coffee, of course, like Panama coffee. I imagine that must taste really great. But again, Bernard, you're into so many things right now. You're expanding everywhere else, but also you also are also passionate in angel investment. Your experience, you extend it into opportunities. Things that you believe in, your causes that you believe in. Talk to us about your angel investment, but also how do you balance this with your current ventures, your other business ventures? How do they supplement each other?
I wish I could answer you the way that balance is. I know how to balance it, but truthfully, make sure that I will rebalance it after it gets unbalanced. So, to elaborate, maybe in your life, you're working and then you're resting and then you have family and loved one, and then you have to grow also, so you have self time. But you cannot just divide yourself like among five, right? And make sure that they're balanced because there are moments where you really have to take care of your health, and there are moments where you really have to focus on work, and there are moments where you really have to rest.
Of course,
So, what my
basically.
take is I adjust according to the need to make sure that nothing is neglected. But until now, I don't think that balancing it every day is the right way.
That's it.
You know,
That's it.
I think that there are times, there's like a time for work, a time for rest, and I think there's a moment where you really have to put everything on your project because you have a deadline, and then suddenly after that, then you can rest. So I'm adaptable. I adjust accordingly. I don't think I work in balance, but I think I rebalance myself when I realize or I notice that I am negating or neglecting some part of my life.
I love that. I love that. And of
Just
course,
being
like
human.
they say, balance is an illusion, is what they say, right? Like sometimes you feel like you can balance everything, but the truth of the matter is, you just kind of just pull yourself back, right? You're thinking
Yeah.
like, okay, I kind of neglected this part, so I'm gonna pull myself back. I kind of I kind of took on this investment too early. I still have this one going, so I'm just gonna pull myself back. But I love that you, again, it's a very, like you said, very human take, right? The very human outlook that these things just happen, and you just have to rebalance yourself. But of course, I cannot let you go, Bernard, without talking about Brent Seed. You're part of the Brand Seed Foundation. You know, you guys are scheduled. You're about to host a series of fun games. You will launch the Brand Seed Foundation Games for Initiative. Will feature a series of chess matches, thought leaders, curious minds. My question is, again, what was the inspiration behind the Brand Seed Foundation? Of course, I understand these are one of your many angel ventures, so to speak. Talk to us a
It's
little bit
new.
about the Brand Seed Foundation.
Well, I feel like I was lucky enough that a lot of people helped me also grow and teach me when I was young. And now that I'm in a better position now to help and teach also, I feel like I want to give back to the less fortunate people. If I could help them with education, if I could teach some stuff for them
Yes, yes,
to
yes.
help their life, I feel like because somebody helped me before and teach me before, now that I'm like in 40 years and close to midlife of a human being, I feel like I like to give back what I got from the better people who were older than me, and I want to give it to the children or to the young people who needs it in a way of giving back. That's it. I feel that's something worthwhile doing while a person is alive.
I mean, of course, not everyone is afforded the opportunities that we have been afforded. And if we get these opportunities, these advantages, and these success in life, I think, it's noble. It's great to bring that to others who never got these opportunities. Like just giving back, of course, is a great way of moving forward and making the world better, of course. Again, Bernard, you are the esports mogul, global investor, and you have ventured your way into different industries today. I want to talk in particular. Actually, I wanted to frame this first as a question about the esports industry. As it continues to grow globally, what do you see as the next major opportunity for the gaming industry? But I'm thinking now, not just the gaming industry. Do you feel like there are other projects of your own or other industries out there that can be the next major opportunity?
Feel like AI is really growing and AI will become part of the future. And I think we should implement it and use it to our advantage because of the computing power. Clearly, humans cannot outcompete computer in computing. So we just might as well use it to our benefit rather than competing with. So I feel like this is something that will continue to grow and it's just starting, and this will be one of the main theme of the next development. So that's
I
one.
see. I
Now
see.
with esports, I could see that there would be niches because the population is growing and there are
Yes.
niches, so there would be a lot of famous games with a lot of community, and they will be sustainable by themselves. but they'll be in clusters, in bunches. Like the games are famous here, the games are famous there. Also flavors, because the world, they have different flavors. There are some designs that are best for USA, but in Japanese the designs are different, and in Korea
Absolutely.
the designs are different. So I think that's the future will go. But what I'm very sure is any game that becomes mainstream had a community that supports it. So any
Yes,
game that ables to gather or make a community and talk about it, then the game will be the mainstream.
truly, truly. I love that. I love that. I love that there's even in gaming now. What I take from that, and for our audience and listeners out there, even in gaming now, the riches are in the niches,
Yes.
right? Because, like you said, market is expanding, population is expanding, much like with music today and really art as well. It's like there's going to be their own circles, their own communities, right? Because it's so massive. People are going to gather into their own little circles, what interests them, and what makes them what makes them connect with each other. And with gaming, I think it will be the same. Like you said, the market's going to explode. There's going to be different games, different niches, different designs, and people are going to gravitate towards that. But it all stays, and we come full circle. Bernard, we come full circle. It all starts and ends with connection. How do you maintain those connections? How do you maintain each other's connections with the community, and what basically the brand or the product or the experience that you have given that to them? Of course, this is nothing new to you, Bernard. Again, thank you. We'd love for our audience and listeners to learn more about you. We would love them to connect more with you, Bernard. Of course, the website. Where can we find you? And also, where are your socials? Where can we connect with you?
Well, I have an Instagram at I am Bren Chong, and Facebook. And also you can connect Crystal with my office, and I can get back to you if you have questions. You can send it to my email to brenchong12258.
Fantastic. Of course, to all our audience and listeners out there, if you truly, truly enjoyed this one, make sure to go find Bernard, go connect with him. Make sure he's out there, and make sure you ask him whatever questions and interests you might have, especially from this episode. Bernard, one last bit of wisdom to leave behind our audience. What would it be? Take us home.
I think everyone should ask people who have done it, people who have done your journey. There's a lot to take away with experienced people. So when you're doing something, there has got to be someone out there who've done it or who have seen people do it, and just ask for their advice or ask for their insights. Then
Of
do
course.
it yourself too.
That's it. Ask for advice. Do it yourself. Who better to ask advice than Bernard, who's had massive experience on many, many varied industries? Bernard, thank you for sharing your advice, your experience, your perspective, and of course, your values here on the show as well. Thank you for being on the episode.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. To all our audience and listeners out there, guys, thank you for watching the episode. We will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.